This content does not take into account your investment needs or personal circumstances. It is not intended to be viewed as investment or financial advice. For more financial information, please visit milfordasset.com/getting advice.
Kia ora, pals, and welcome back to Laugh My Assets Off. We've been spending the last 5 episodes going over everything you need to know about money. So if you're thinking of studying economics, you don't have to. You've watched this series, you've got all you need to know. Isn't that right, team? No, they don't agree. They are here from Milford Asset Management. They can help your savings go mill forward, not mill backward. Do you like that?
I like it.
Thank you. I'm glad. It's Caitlin Parker and Liam Robertson. Hello. Today you may have noticed the tables have turned. Actually, the tables stayed in the same place, but we've switched couches because today it's time for you to quiz me. I've only got one card. I've spent the last 5 episodes learning all I need to know about asset management and picking funds and getting advice. It's time for you to quiz me. So the card is going away. Caitlin, what's the first question of the day?
Let's go back to the very first episode when we talked about the definition of investing. Is buying milk or your nice toy trains, is that investing?
Well, I think it can be if you've got some nice toy trains that other people also think are nice and are kind of collectible items that may build value over time. That could be an investment. My 3 fridges full of milk that I thought were going to pay off over time because I thought milk might get scarce might not pay off because the milk might expire. But I could invest in like a dairy company, for instance, and they might do well over time because I think it's quite a big export in Aotearoa.
Nailed it.
Oh, 1 down, 1 tick.
Eli, how do we in the financial world define investing?
Okay, I think I'm going to use very silly words here, but investing is sort of putting your money somewhere where it may potentially grow.
Yeah, or it could provide you an income, or both. I'll give it to you though.
Okay, thank you. So that's kind of like a half tick on that one.
Half tick.
Oh, that's a full tick.
That's a full tick.
Yeah, that's a full tick.
She's in a good mood.
Thank
2 from
you.
2.
Yeah. I actually thought Caitlin was going to be the mean one.
Why? What gave you that? What gave you that opinion?
Powerful vegan leather shirt on. Your hair's pulled back. You look like you could be ready to tell me off.
Right. What would you say the main risk with property buying is?
The main risk, I guess you could invest in renovating your house to an unfashionable thing. Like I think a few years ago, everyone was into feature walls, but if you filled your house with feature walls, people might not like it, and then they might not want to buy your house.
Yeah, that's probably like a decimal point of a mark. So basically, that your own home, your own property, that could pay off as an investment, but it's not necessarily one. But if you pick smartly, in locations and things that you think it will generate you a return when you go to sell in a few years. But essentially, an investment in the property space is, buying a rental and generating that income and regular return from it.
So it's giving you money every week at a time. What if I started charging my partner rent, even though he technically does own half the house?
I mean, that would be smart and you would be generating return, but is it stable and sustainable?
So yeah, it feels like it's maybe not an investment in my relationship.
Probably not.
Very good. Eli, what's the advantage of investing in shares and bonds compared to just property?
Well, you want to have a diverse portfolio of investments. You want to invest in a few things because if you put all your eggs in one basket and, there's a big gust of wind, they could get blown out of the basket and all crack. Whereas if you put your eggs in lots of baskets, some of them might be sheltered from the big gust of wind.
Very good answer. The other benefit, of course, is bonds and shares. You can sell as many as you need. If you did need some money at short notice, you can't just sell the garage or the laundry.
True, yes. Yeah, you can't just sell part of your house. You could rent a room for a little bit, though.
You could to your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think these are all bad ideas that I'm not going to try out.
Right, give me an example of when it might be smarter to invest in shares versus being hell-bent on paying off your mortgage, even though Mummy says it's the right thing to do.
Well, potentially when the interest rate's low, right? Because then when the interest rate is low on your mortgage, that's a good time, right? Because your mortgage isn't really costing you that much money. Whereas, I don't know.
No, you're on the right track.
On the right track?
Yeah, 100%. So when interest rates are low, your mortgage isn't taking as much of your income. You know, it's a better time to borrow money because it's cheaper. So the returns that you could get from that extra money in shares just weigh up as a more attractive option, versus when interest rates are high, it's probably more attractive for people to actually, you know, if they have a lump sum, pay off that debt.
Because you'll save yourself a little bit of money in the ongoing interest that you're paying every other week.
Because debt is quite expensive at the moment. So, you know, if you're paying 7% or so in your mortgage, that's a high hurdle in order to make that, to match it on your investment side. So just about weighing up your options.
Okay.
Speaking of shares, are shares and stocks the same thing?
Oh, chicken stock and beef stock are different.
They are.
But I believe stocks and shares are, in fact, the same thing.
Bingo.
Do Americans call it stocks and everyone else calls it shares, and then we just say stocks sometimes to fit in with American, like feet and meters?
They both mean the same thing, but there's a really boring technicality behind it
Oh, yeah.
that you don't need to know.
Too boring for this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It
called
will be
laugh my
caught.
assets off, not
Yeah.
pull my assets off.
Right, why is buying into a fund often better than just buying one particular share?
Wow, because if you put it's like putting all your eggs in one basket, and if you just put 100% of your cash in one share, then you're only relying on that one to go up, but it may go down as well. Whereas if you've got 20 plus different shares, some of them might go up, some of them might go down. Hopefully, the whole thing as a whole will have more chance of getting your gains like you get when you have a protein shake every morning.
Yeah.
Eli, what do we mean when we talk about compound interest?
Yeah, what do you mean when you talk about compound interest? I guess compound means it builds up over time, it gets bigger. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, right?
Yes.
So when we invest our money and it generates a return, if we keep it invested, that return also starts generating a return. And over time, the amount grows and grows and grows.
And eventually the snowball's big enough to destroy whole cities.
Potentially.
But the cities are purchases you want to make.
Yes.
Remember we did role play with Liam. What
I'll never
does...
forget it. It was a really powerful moment for the whole country.
Anyways, that... If you came into Milford, what would Liam generally, offer you to begin with?
I get two little sessions free of charge where we would go over my goals, and then he would talk about possible funds that I could invest in.
Yeah, exactly. He'd go over your goals, your time frame, risk profile.
How much money I've got to use, all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
And we'd just see, if we get along, and then maybe we'll have a dinner, because we did talk about having a dinner.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. We'll have to see how they go. What are the three main types of fund?
Conservative, balanced, growth.
Bingo.
What is the minimum amount of time that you would be recommended to invest in?
Oh, I'd say at least a year. Would that be about the minimum that you'd want to invest in? Or does it depend what sort of fund you're in?
It sure does. It depends on the fund.
Because if you're in like a growth fund, you might want to look at like sort of 10 years as a minimum.
Yeah, kind of 7 years at least in terms of that growth. But a more conservative fund would generally have a shorter recommended time frame.
Yeah, so if you're closer to retirement, you might go more conservative.
Exactly.
If you've got 30 long years, chuck it in a growth.
What fund do I manage at Milford, and what is in that fund? What's it made up of?
What fund do you manage? Is it the growth fund?
Absolutely not. It's literally the opposite end of the
The
spectrum.
conservative fund?
You literally paid no attention at all to that.
Well, look, I've got every answer right so far.
Oh, you got this one
I knew you
absolutely
managed
wrong.
A fund. I just get a vibe from you that you wouldn't be, conservative, maybe not your style, but professionally maybe it is.
Yeah, no, the most conservative of all, the cash fund.
Cash fund.
Very defensive.
Defensive as. Is that
That's the logo.
Yeah, that's the logo. Just a photo of Caitlin going like this.
Yeah.
Defensive.
Eli, we've spoken a lot about global events and how they may impact investing. Why shouldn't we worry too much about the effects of things like war or pandemics?
Well, if you look at kind of history, global events have just kept happening. The stuff hasn't stopped happening. That's my history lesson for the day. Stuff hasn't stopped happening, and often things correct themselves, or also in the wake of something massive happening, there's opportunities for other things to arise.
You sound like an economist. Like, I'm very
Really?
impressed. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do economists say things like, things don't stop happening?
They're answering the question, but not given a, definitive answer, because there's a lot of ways
Wow.
things can play out. So
It almost sounds like maybe I should go into politics if that's the sort of way I want to answer questions.
They don't answer questions.
No answering at all.
No, I'll give you that, Mark. Opportunity was the word I was looking for. When something bad happens, it's not necessarily bad for every company in the market. But,
what happens if you panic when your fund goes down and you move your money to a more conservative fund?
Well, first of all, I think, thank goodness I'm in the fund that Caitlin's taken care of, and I know, she does a great job. So I've been really happy with my fund manager, but I might, over time, realise that I basically crystallised or locked in the losses, which may have regained over time.
Exactly, Eli. Well done.
I just wanted to say the word crystallised, actually. See, it's not all boring money stuff. You can just say some fun, fancy words sometimes.
No, yeah, that is like a nice kind of like sparkly word to use.
it is.
Crystallised.
Topic close to my heart, KiwiSaver. Give me 2 key differences between a KiwiSaver fund and any other kind of fund.
It saves Kiwis, and you cannot get that money out of it.
Can you elaborate on either of those answers?
Okay, it doesn't literally save Kiwis, but you can only take your money out 2 opportunities, either when you buy a house or when you're first home or when you retire. Sometimes there are other sneaky times when you could maybe, not sneaky, but just times when you really need it. You might be able to take it out, but most of the time you can't get the money. And I do know one other difference, which is that the government matches it. So that return you get from the government, they match 50% of everything you put in, up to about $1,000.
Yeah, so over the course of the KiwiSaver year, 1 July to 30 June, if you put in $1,043, they'll match you 50 cents to the dollar.
Why is it 1,043? Why don't they sort of crystallise that as at a kind of a nice number that ends in a zero?
Crystallise is a round number. Above
How many
my pay
times
grade.
can you say crystallise?
Yeah, word of the day.
I'm not sure. It's actually $1,043.86, but who's counting?
Why 86 cents?
Don't know, mate.
Yeah. I think when I retire, I'm going to be like, oh, thank goodness it was $1,043.86.
It'll make a difference.
Yeah, those extra 6 cents on top of the 80 cents.
Yeah,
over time.
How would you go about choosing a KiwiSaver provider? How would you identify, a good fund manager to manage your money?
For me, what I have done personally is choose the one that my bank manages, so that then it's on my online banking thing for short-term convenience. But what I've learnt on this show is that maybe I could look at a few different KiwiSaver managers and see who's getting the best returns over time, who's won awards and that sort of thing, and maybe consider that and consider switching, which is actually very quick to do.
It is. Maybe also, have a look at how big is their investment team and the experience on that team that is managing your money, because, you've worked very hard for it. So you want to be able to trust who's managing it.
Give it to a nice big team of people who know how to take care of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see if you remembered this one. What causes inflation?
We cause it.
It's not bad.
So when consumers willingly go and pay for the same things as the price, no matter what the retailers set the price at, we encourage those prices to keep going up. If we keep buying stuff and the price is going up, we are saying, yes, that is how much that costs now. And the more we do that, the more the prices will continue to go up.
Yeah, so when there's scarcity or when there's a shortage of something, when demand is more than supply,
of course,
the supplier can put the price up because the demand is more than supply, and prices will keep going up.
And we think, God, I still want broccoli, even though it's $9. And then they think, oh, well, I guess broccoli costs $9 now.
That's right.
What is the Reserve Bank of New Zealand trying to do?
Just have fun. Live their life, live their truth.
Shoot the breeze.
They are the bank's bank.
Yeah, so what are they trying to achieve in the economy?
They're trying to keep inflation at around 2%, which is a nice way, which means the economy is going well, but it's not making life too hard for people.
Great.
I even remember the right number. Okay, no gold star.
Well, I mean, technically, it's the target band of 1 to 3%.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the 2's in there.
See, she has turned to bad cop.
I know, yeah, she's gone full
Yeah.
bad cop. You're my favourite, Liam.
Thank you, mate. I thought so. Eli, should you have an emergency fund? And if you should it be stored under your mattress?
You should have an emergency fund because, believe it or not, emergencies do happen, but it is not good to have it under your mattress. And that is because just loose cash only loses value. It doesn't gain value, maybe?
Yeah, if it's under your mattress, it's not generating any return at all. So where could you store it?
In my savings account with potentially a good interest rate.
Yeah, or even...
Or in some shares that you can sell quickly.
Potentially not shares, because shares...
Bonds.
Maybe not even bonds.
Or Caitlin's defensive fund.
Very good.
You never want to be a forced seller of any asset. You know, shares and bonds are liquid, but you don't want to have to sell them tomorrow because there's an emergency, because there could be a market event. Does anyone know exactly what interest rates are going to do from 1 year to the next, or what the share market will do?
No one knows 100% for sure, but some people can make educated guesses because they have some knowledge.
That is a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well
That's
done.
a good answer. Okay.
Yeah, no one knows for definite. There's a lot of ways things can play out, but some people have backing to their expectations and good judgment.
Yeah.
Speaking of vibes, is the guy at your barbecue telling you to get into crypto a fortune teller?
He's probably not a good guy to listen to. And you could probably pick that up because I think always the person who talks to me at a barbecue about that sort of stuff seems a little bit off. But basically, yeah, you just shouldn't be getting your investment advice from one random uncle who maybe has some hot tips.
Yeah, and I think, look, even if you and I were at a barbecue, I shouldn't be giving you financial advice. I should be doing it in a professional environment with a structured process. So you can chat about things at barbecues, but don't take them as gospel.
Nice. So what are we going to talk about at the barbecue?
Well, I think you had some other counselling sessions that you wanted to cover, so we could probably start with those.
Just some trauma that I've been through. I'll just unload it while we cook some sausages.
Absolutely.
Why is having a portfolio of shares and bonds a good thing?
Because it looks prettier, you know, a nice portfolio. I always imagine a science experiment that you fold out like that, and it's like, look at all of this, as opposed to just one boring company. But also, because if you invest in lots of different places, the chances of potential growth are much higher than if it's all in one place.
Yes, exactly. You could have just said diversification.
Yeah, also diversity is important.
You know?
Yeah.
Excellent.
What is the advantage of using a fund manager over DIY investing?
Well, it turns out people are qualified for the jobs that they have. So if someone has studied and worked hard to become a fund manager, they know a little bit more than potentially I would, just going on a website or an app and just clicking on some companies that I like the sound of.
Yeah, absolutely. A fund manager can also provide you advice, and it saves you a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
You told me you're a very busy man, so
I'm super busy. I don't have time to study thousands of companies to pick the 20 for my portfolio.
there you go.
20 plus.
What is the most important thing to consider about fund management fees?
The most important thing to consider about fund management fees is sort of whether they are so much that they make the return not seem as appealing. Like if the fees are higher than the returns you're going to get out of the fund, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, look, so basically look at their past returns, net of fees, so after the fees paid. So just because company A has a higher fee than company B, if you compare them both, you know, what are their returns after you've paid those fees for the last few years? That will give you a clearer indication.
And would there be like some sneaky little websites that would not explain that would be in the small text that this is the fund before the fees are taken out?
It would always be good to just double check what you're actually looking at. So, you know, you're looking at a 2% per annum or whatever it is, you know, just be like, what exactly is that? Is that after tax? Is it after fees? What am I looking at? Just so you're comparing apples with apples.
And not apples with oranges.
Exactly.
Completely different. All right, final question from me, guys. That's right, I have one more card hiding away. If someone's sitting at home and they've watched this whole series and they do have a little bit of extra cash, they don't know what to do with it, what should they do tomorrow to kick this journey off?
First thing, I'm going to not quite answer your question directly. I think the first thing they should do is review their KiwiSaver make sure that they're in a fund that they've chosen, so they're not sitting in a default fund that they may not be happy with, and make sure that they're not missing out on any government contributions. Remember, $500 million was left on the table last year, so we don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, a little bit of that was me as well.
Yeah, there you go. Secondly, with that a little bit of extra money, get some advice. Advice has never been more accessible than it is at the moment. You can get it from the Sorted website, you can get it from most fund managers' websites, and if it's something like KiwiSaver advice, you can even come and speak to someone like myself. That will give you a good starting point. You don't have to take the advice that you receive, but it will help you set out a plan according to your goal, your risk tolerance, and your time frame.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for spending this time with me, someone who knew nothing about what they were talking about, and helping me learn a lot. And I think we proved I did learn quite a bit. It's been great hanging out with you, Liam. We'll catch up at dinner, obviously, soon. Obviously, I'll see you guys at the Fund Managers Awards. I'm going to go hard. And don't forget, there are 6 episodes in this season. You can watch them in any order, but I'd recommend starting with episode 1. Ka kite. See you later.